Hello, Victoria.
Hello.
So nice to see you. Gosh, what a deal. Wow. Oh, get right to it.
I have I have to be very careful, because this is really dangerous.
Yeah, don't fall down the hill. Are you comfortable switching the camera so that you can point the
Yes,
camera? Okay.
yes.
Um,
Okay.
wow. Oh my God. I'm coming to visit as soon as this is over. That- All right, Victoria, would you start and tell us? I know you have a very fascinating story. So would you tell us tell us your story, how you got where you are?
Um, it's a long story. To make it short, I'm in the family. Well, I'm in a family. I belong to a family who has been in the wine business for 4 generations now.
Okay.
Uh, all of them were on the side of the distributing, importing wines.
Oh,
Uh, and in 2004, I started a project to make wine here in Malaga, in the Axarquia, with Alois Kracher, the sweet winemaker.
oh, with Eloise, father.
Sí, Luis' father. Sí, well, Luis' son, because there is another Luis' father. So it's Alois Kracher, and I started to make then in the Axarquia. It's a region, a wine region famous for the raisins, for the Muscatel raisins in Malaga. And I started, of course, to make sweet Muscatel wines. And it was in 2010, more or less, when I learned about the importance and the history of the Malaga wines. And it was bound to the grape Pedro Ximénez, actually. Uh, Malaga was the largest producer of Pedro Ximénez in the world until the phylloxera destroyed many vineyards here. Uh, and uh, and one of the most famous wines in Europe was called mountain wine. The French call it vin de Malaga, and it was among the first wines that was sold in the first wine auction made in Christie's in the 18th century. Mountain wine represented the most important wine and grape of Pedro Ximénez in Europe, one of the most important in Europe. It disappeared completely. There is no precedent in the history of Europe wines, European wines. There is no precedent of a case like this. Malaga wines were much more famous than Bordeaux wines, and actually there were the important wineries in Bordeaux used to buy Malaga wine to improve their wines. So they were very sought after. They were very expensive wines, and everything disappeared. The reason is that to give you an idea, a more exact idea, in Malaga, when the phylloxera came, there were 113,000 hectares of vineyards planted. In Bordeaux, there were in total 80,000. So it's hard to imagine how large this business was here in Malaga. And we were exporting wines to China, to America since the 17th century. So I realized that actually I was making beautiful wines, but actually we had to do something to recover this patrimonio, this value. It was an important part of the old world wines, no? And I didn't start from scratch. I had a lot of information. I got in touch with many researchers here in Malaga, in the university. So there were a lot of information, and there are still vineyards of Pedro Ximénez in the original regions. There were vineyards everywhere in the province of Malaga, but the most important were here in the Montes of Malaga. The Montes of Malaga is a group of mountains, 1,000 meters high. We are near to 1,000 meters high, surrounding the harbor, the bay of Malaga, of the city, because the most important wines and the best came from the city of Malaga, next to the harbor. Like it's the same as in Oporto, in Burdeos. So these wine regions are linked to a river, like here, the river Guadalmedina, and to a harbor. It was the same here in Malaga. So I came here to these mountains and started to look for these historical vineyards of Pedro Ximénez. I'm very happy that Spanish team of researchers from Madrid, IMIDRA, and the National Institute for Research on grapes in France. They both discovered in the same, it was the same research project they made together. They both discovered the origin of Pedro Ximénez, which is logically in Al-Andalus, Andalusia.
Okay.
The first evidence of the name Pedro Ximénez bound to grapes, to vineyards, was found in Malaga, obviously, in Malaga in 1543, some years after the Catholic kings conquered the city of Malaga, which was one of the last ones to be conquered by the Catholic kings. So I came, I found this small, now I will scan again the landscape, and I want you to imagine that everything you can see here, that you will see basically nowadays you will see almond trees and olive trees, but everything was covered with vineyards, okay?
Okay. Wow. Be careful.
Sí. Bueno, voy a andar un poco.
Wow. That's everything covered in vine in the past.
Everything.
Oh,
I will take the path, because here, as you can imagine, there is no chance to use a plow,
yeah.
but we have the help of mules for harvesting. So we can put the grapes into the small boxes, and they are loaded on the mule. And if it's possible, because it is not always possible, this vineyard, I can identify the small path for the mule, and I will take the path. So I go down very slowly, okay? And I will show you something that also happens here in these old vineyards, because these must be more than 100 years old.
Unbelievable.
And you can see something that you can read only in the books, in the old books. You can see a Pedro Ximénez vine, Pedro Ximénez. Well, this is organic, so don't you? So you can find some weeds, but you can see this is Pedro Ximénez. I don't know if you're seeing. Okay, with this type of leaf.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and
Okay.
next to it, you have another type of vineyard, another type of grape. This is Montua.
Okay.
This is an old grape, an old type of grape that existed in the past, but you can find it here in these very old vineyards. And you see, they are quite. This is quite crazy, quite wild. And for example, these are so old that some has only one branch. Normally the pruning is 3 branches,
Okay.
but No, you cannot find them in every vineyard, in every vine. So this
So
is
why do they not why do they is it a bush vine like in Chateauneuf-du-Pape where it's windy and you need that structure?
pardon?
Why is it not in a row like you see many vineyards in a row with a trellis
Yeah.
system, but more like Chateauneuf-du-Pape? Is it windy or?
Here it's all the reason.
Okay.
I asked why is this so, because it's so complicated to work here. And
I think you might need to go back up where you
low
started because the
it's a
reception isn't as good.
vasopruning, but I haven't seen something so low. I don't know if you can see it. Oh.
Okay, you're back now. Sorry, we missed that for a minute. Yeah, we're back.
I'm back.
Yeah.
It's pruning, and the reason is because they are looking for the grapes to be closer to the ground because it's all stone. It
Okay.
grows on the mother rock.
Okay.
I will show you. Let me. It's on the mother rock.
Mm-hmm.
They are looking for the cold. Here there is a day-night high different
Mm-hmm.
of temperature, and they are
Yeah.
looking for the cold to cool down the grapes, and the heat during the day to warm it. See, you know, a lot of
You have a huge what? I missed that.
question. The first time I came here, they say,
Victoria,
because it's all like this.
Victoria,
We
I
have
think
a
you might need to
history
go
of
back
three.
up where you started because the reception is better up there. We keep missing you now.
The coverage is much better. I will go up.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I appreciate the close. Oh, that was.
I'm back.
There we go. Yeah, you're good. Thank you.
Hello.
So we heard about it's hot
Because
during the day. Grapes are very low.
the what?
We heard that the
Okay.
vine.
The pruning is
Yeah.
very okay. No, I the first time I asked them why is this so, they said because it's been made like this for 3,000 years. So that's a very good reason. The other
Truly.
is the other is that they told me that if we had this trellis system or with terraces, the heat from the sun would come down completely perpendicular to the vineyards, and will probably make it very. The heat would be too much, and probably would burn the grapes. Also, if you have no terraces, the breeze has no barrier, so it flows. And here, it's a privileged area because we have no diseases. That's why we can do it organic, because we have no problems. It's very well adapted, and also we have this climate which is privileged, very dry and very breezy, and very open. So it's perfect for these grapes. No?
It's fantastic. Could you explain just briefly about where Malaga is? I'm not sure everybody understands where Malaga in general is.
Okay. Malaga is, well, you have to first go to Spain, and Malaga is in the south of the south. Malaga is in south of Andalusia, which is in the south of Spain. It's opposite Africa. And actually,
Okay.
if when I go out of this area, which is called Santo Peter was one of the most famous areas, vineyards, really, since the time. If I go out of Santo Peter, I directly see the ocean, the Mediterranean. In clear days, I can see Africa.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's very unique. And
And how
also,
far are you from the sea?
how far
From the Mediterranean?
how far from what? From where?
From the
Mediterranean. We are the city of Malaga is based by the Mediterranean.
Right. Okay.
Yes, yes. We are
Can you speak
Mediterranean, but
about
they are Mediterranean wines.
your grapes? Because Beth and Eva sent me 2 of your dry white Pedro Jimenez, and most people have experienced Pedro Jimenez as a sweet PX sherry. I had never had a dry, and some people were really surprised when I posted your picture, and it's a stunning, stunning wine, both of them.
Thank you. Well, this is the idea. The idea was to recover our mountain wine, and this is a mountain wine. And the mountain wine was dry Pedro Ximenez. Sometimes they maybe with more alcohol than mine, because there were other times, but back then. And in some cases, they sun dried the grapes to get more alcohol, but they were dry. And in other cases, they didn't even sun dry the grapes, so the alcohol was lower.
Okay.
Our mountain wines are between 11 and 13 degrees alcohol. It depends on when you harvest, of course. And back then there were 13 to 14, 15 maybe, which is very easy. It's to get here. It's natural. It was a natural alcohol. They were not fortified. Okay, but the dry Pedro Ximenez, the still dry Pedro Ximenez was the wine that was mostly produced in Malaga, and that was that. For some reason, they stopped doing it, and in the 60s, I think in the 50s, 60s, Malaga was more better known because of the sweet wines, but because of the production of the dry wines were reduced and reduced and reduced gradually. I don't know, but up here in the mountains, where this mountain wine was made in the past, they still make the wines for their own consume. That's the reason why these vineyards have survived until today, and they don't have taste for sweet wines. They never made sweet wines, and they dislike actually sweet wines. So Malaga, well, Madeira, Port, and Tokai made sweet wines. Malaga was making dry. They also made sweet wines, and they also made red. Actually, in all the vineyards in the world, the Julie André, he talked about the whites. He talked about the reds made in Malaga, and he talked of course about the Pedro Ximenez as one of the most noble grapes to vinify for vinification.
Would you mind? There's some new people that just joined. Would you mind showing them the view again, which used to be covered all in vine? Would you show the?
Sure.
That all be covered in vine.
In the background is Axarquía. Axarquía is the east of Malaga. Is famous historically for the racing. And here there is a village on a hill there in front of us, which is Comares. It's an Arab, originally Arab village. That means Red Castle, which is Axarquía. So this part of Montes de Malaga, Santo Peter is in the frontier with Axarquía. I will walk a bit so you can see something more. Bueno, I can tell you at 4 o'clock, it's 4 o'clock here in Malaga. At 4 o'clock in Malaga, you couldn't stand in the sun. Here, we have a very the battery is we are running out of battery, but I have my tablet, so
Okay.
my
Some
iPad.
eat also.
See, so let me show you the landscape of Montes de Malaga from the other side of the vineyard. We can see the almond trees. There, you can see some vineyards. And there is Axarquia.
Wow. Now, how many grapes do you grow?
We have the most important grape in our winery is Pedro Ximénez.
Okay.
It's the reason why I started this project. And we also make some Moscatel, because you know that I make Monticara. Monticara is a 100% Moscatel from Axarquia, because I was introduced in the wine world through Moscatel. So I have an emotional connection, a strong emotional connection with the Moscatel, but I make it dry. Okay. And it's beautiful, I think. And we also make sparkling rosé and reds, because I make red from Petit Verdot.
Oh, okay.
And I make red from Cabernet Sauvignon. Cabernet Sauvignon and Petit Verdot are not indigenous grapes here, but the indigenous grapes disappeared. Mm-hmm. So, and this I found here in Montes de Malaga. These vineyards of Petit Verdot and Cabernet that I find they are 30 years old, and they beautiful. They behave beautifully. So I make these wines, no? Which
So
is Martí Aguilar and Camarolos.
If we do lose you, if your phone dies, I'm going to stay on here and you can rejoin from your.
I will catch my iPad. Okay.
Yeah, be careful. I don't want you tripping down the mountain.
If you lose me, it's maybe because I'm rolling down. Okay.
Yeah, I hope not. I will stay here and hopefully you can come back with your tablet. Can you tell me about your so I had 2 different white wines from you with the from Pedro Ximénez. Could you tell me how you'd make those differently?
I make Voladeros is the one that I had in my head when I decided to start this project in 2015, which is I wanted this wine to be made from Santo Pita, from this mountain, because of the importance of Santo Pita and all the references I found in the history books. Mm-hmm. So it had to be from Santo Pita. That was the first thing. And the second, it has to be the best way possible, according to my knowledge and according to the resources available to make good wines. Basically, it means temperature control and excellent barrels. So I make it from the free run juice. Okay. Without pressing the grapes, because I consider it gives the finest juice, and I ferment it in the barrel. Okay. And also we age it in barrel for 10 months, working with the lees. In the design also of this wine is my son Guillermo is involved, of course, in the design and also in the elaboration of these wines. We share the same vision about what to do with the wines to get the most out of it, the best out of it. And so Voladeros was clear, was very well defined, and it is being made the same way since the first vintage. And then it was La Ola del Melillero, which was the consequence, so to speak, of Voladeros and Monticara. Monticara is made the same way as Voladeros, but with Moscatel. So here we had this press from these prephyloxeric vineyards, and well, Monticara is 130 years old vineyard, Voladeros is 150. So we make a blend and we make La Ola. But to show the fruit in La Ola, we don't use barrel. We just use we ferment and age also for 10 months in stainless steel.
Okay, because for me, the La Ola, I was blown away. It was like something I want to drink on a hot day. It was super refreshing,
Yes,
crisp,
yes,
and
it's very
racy.
refreshing.
But the Voladeros, I wasn't sure if it was Lee's contact or oak, because that was like this creamy, a little bit bigger and just rich, but still refreshing.
You had this work with Lee's the same way in every wine.
Oh, okay.
So
And when you ferment in barrel, is it new oak with the Voladero?
we use new oak, and well, after now we can use also, we have older barrels, and we can use also second year. But I like to combine second year with new oak. The first, because when in the case of Moscatel of Monticara, it is not so important that it's new, because Moscatel is very terpenic, so it can stand any new barrel if
Okay.
it's 100%. But Pedro Ximenez, I don't like oaky wines, and Pedro Ximenez is less terpenic, so it's more sensitive to new oak. So in Pedro Ximenez, I prefer to combine new and second year.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit more about your background? I know people are shy to tell their history, but you were a doctor, right? Or are a
Yeah.
doctor. So
Well,
you
no,
or
I just said to myself the other day, well, I'm not a doctor anymore. Uh, I'm a winemaker. Uh, I remember the day I said to myself, I know, I said to somebody, I'm a winemaker. And it's like hearing myself saying that, and I say, but it's true. Doctor anymore. I was happy with my profession. I was in the research area, so I was working with biomedical research, which is
okay.
very satisfying, and it's very exciting. And I have that scientific mind, which is very good, I think, to make wine. Mm, it is not because I'm a doctor. I think it's the scientific side. My son is engineer, and he also has this scientific approach to things. And so we apply the approach, not the knowledge, because it's completely different, but the approach to problems and to winemaking. And actually, there was a winemaker here in Malaga, very famous. He was the uncle of Picasso, Pablo Picasso.
Oh, wow.
His name is Baldomero Giara. He made in the early years of the 20th century the best mountain wine that was made in Malaga, here in the mountains of Malaga. And he was a very rich person, and he helped financially Pablo Picasso. And he used also this scientific approach together with a doctor, one of the most famous doctors in Spain by that time. He was from Malaga, Galvez Ginachero. And he wrote a book about the use of asepsia in the winemaking. So he was a pioneer in introducing the cleanness
Wow.
in the winemaking back in 1904. 1905, 1904. He started his project in 1904. And so he was quite an important person in the wine business. And of course, he was from Malaga. Malaga was one of the most important
Wow.
areas. Right.
Andrew Shovel, who used to be in New York, I think he's in Texas, just mentioned he loves your wines. So he wasn't on here before. You show us again. I'm sorry, people coming in and out of the chat. Show us again, and then talk about the heroic wines, that like what it's making wines in a mountain and how you work with the farmer.
This is what you will see. This is heroic wine. I can hardly move, as you can see. So I will show you. Can you see?
Yep. But be safe, first of all.
I can identify the path of the mule. I love that.
Okay.
See, you have to know very well your vineyard, the vineyard, to identify first the paths, no, for the mule. If you have a path, you have a treasure. I will show you here again the soil, because we haven't talked about the soil. But
please.
Okay. Okay, you can see it's all rocks. It's all rocks. This is something I discovered when I came here. I think I will try to switch to my iPad. I don't want to be completely at lost when I run out of battery. But I was telling you that I make also red wines here. And this, what I found when I came here is that I was working in a very, very unique terroir. Because of the soil, when I first tasted voladeros, is something I had read about the quality of voladeros. The quality of the mountain wines, but nobody alive had tasted it because it had disappeared so long ago. So here, I will switch to the iPad. Okay.
Okay. No problem. I'm curious how this will work. If it just will bump over. We'll see. I think I have to. Okay, so she will be back. So Beth, could you put those the village and there she is. Hey, Chelsea. So we're in Malaga in southern Spain, and Victoria has switched to her iPad. So I'm hoping her iPad doesn't need Wi-Fi. Oh, there you go.
Ahora.
Hi.
Sí. Okay. Hello. I was saying that I discovered that that I was actually in a very unique terroir, because it's not only this climate, which is like a miracle for growing things, for growing avocados, for growing olive trees, for growing vineyards, because it's very dry, very fresh, we have this freshness, this altitude. We have a snowing winter here. So not only is the climate, which is like a paradise, it's also the soil. And I realized when I first tasted the first voladeros, when it finished the fermentation in the barrel, I said, okay, I expected something good. I had put all my money in the project, so it had to be good. But it was different. And I think the difference is made by the soil. And effectively, I started to study and to look articles of research about the soils of Montes de Malaga. Montes de Malaga is the wine region in Malaga, in the city of Malaga. So we are in the municipality of the city of Malaga, half an hour down the mountains, because we are very high, from the bull ring or from the beach.
Okay.
So I started to study about the soils, and it is true. Montes de Malaga is constituted, is formed 600 million years ago. It's Precambric, at the very bottom of the sea, which now is Mediterranean. Before that it was Tethys. Before that, we don't know. No, I don't know. There was no animal life then, and it's an island. So it's physically an island.
Okay.
An island of soil which is given only here, because it's so old, because it comes from the bottom of the sea. It's very, very heterogeneous. It's so heterogeneous that the geographists, the geologists, cannot, well, this soil doesn't fit in any classification of soils. Because you have, filitas and esquisto, which are the oldest. The filitas is the oldest gists that exist. You have quartz, sandy rocks, big sandy rocks, limestone, silica, granite, magma, volcanic magma, of course, sea sediments, everything in the same plot. Everything in the same plot. It only changes, what can change is the proportion in which you find these mineral compounds, depending on the orientation, the altitude, the air, the plot. But it's all in the same plot. So hence the minerality of the wines, which is, I said, it is not our merit. Basically, we do our best, of course, we do our best, but everything is given by the terroir.
You're very humble. I think they're involved.
What? I didn't hear you.
You're very humble. I think there's some skill on your.
No. It's not a matter of being humble. I think it's one of the times that I felt most the presence of the terroir. I don't know how to convey this idea, but if I were making Pedro Ximénez from other part of Spain, there are other regions with Pedro Ximénez now. Actually, Pedro Ximénez, the production of Pedro Ximénez is very low now in Malaga. But if I made these wines from other Pedro Ximénez coming from other parts of the world, it wouldn't be the same. But impossible.
That's fascinating.
Impossible. But of course, we do our best. Yes.
Well,
we do our best.
I have to go.
It's a big responsibility, because it's the history of Europe.
And we're so happy you're doing it. It's an amazing story. We have to talk more again. I have to go because we're well past the half-hour mark, but it's fascinating, and we have to definitely do this again. You've been
okay.
Talk to, and it's thrilling that the work you're doing, and I got to say the wines are just stunning. They're some of the best wines I've had all summer.
Thank you.
Do you want to say anything before we go to people? Did I miss anything?
Well, there are so many things, but basically, thank you for being there at 10, because it's 10 a.m., no?
It's 10
there.
Yeah.
It's very early for being there at this time. For people from Spain, it's also a very bad timing, because it's 4 siesta time, although we don't sleep siesta anymore. Well, thank you, and I hope that you enjoy our wines and have this feeling, we can convey this feeling of the terroir through these wines.
Yeah, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure.
Thank you, Jeff.
We'll talk to you soon, hopefully in person one day soon.
Yeah, sure.
Bye bye.
Bye.